Reconvene our meeting, and we're going to move on to our 6.2914 item. This is setting as the Lake County Sanitation District Board of Directors consideration of a resolution confirming current procedures for administration, legal representation, facilities operation, payroll, and accounting of the Lake County Sanitation District. And we have title of sponsor Lake County Sanitation District. Are we going to have somebody giving us an introduction, CAO, or just, is that going to be county council? Go ahead, county council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is an item that I think is related to item 6.3 as well. With you five as sitting as the Lake County Sanitation District Board of Directors, there have been some, staff has researched the particular issues that may arise in light of the proposed change of membership that's being presented to you in the next item, presumably item 6.3, in the following categories of administration, legal representation, facilities operation, payroll, and accounting. And you see that all outlined in the resolution itself. That was part of this agenda, and this really flows from I believe it took place on or about July 14, where your board has adopted a resolution of intent to establish the membership of LakeOSAN. Again, that's tied into item 6.3. So this item 6.2 is designed. The intent here is to shepherd the process on these categories, on these four categories for the new LakeOSAN membership board.
Thank you. Go ahead, CAO.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chair. It's also will provide a continuity of services when all the negotiation regarding the agreements between all parties providing services is completed.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from board members at this time? Not seeing any, so I'll go ahead and open it up to the public. Do we have anyone in the room who wishes to comment on this item? Not seeing anyone in the room, then we'll transition to online. Betsy Kahn, you're up. Go ahead. You'll have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I'm wondering why we have not heard anything about the involvement of the local agency formation commission in this change of organization. I did contact the executive director. She said that she had not been contacted. That doesn't mean that somebody else in LAFCO hasn't been contacted, but of course, two of you sit as members of the LAFCO commission. Can you please explain how, at what point the analysis of this will be done for the management of the district, please? Thank
you. I'm going to finish public comment and see what else we have before I address anything. No other hands? Okay, so I'm going to take a stab at just answering that question. There's basically two separate, this process is not a LAFCO process regarding the actual governance of the board. There may be other processes down the road that would be a LAFCO, in LAFCO's purview, and that LAFCO, I believe, already has some information on that. So that's just to be clear that this process is not a LAFCO situation for the board. Do you want to offer anything else? Or?
Yeah, just briefly, if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So just on the resolution itself, I would characterize it as a typographical error. On the last page of the resolution that's being presented to your board for adoption, there's a signature field that states attests Susan Parker, clerk to the Board of Supervisors. That should be changed to Board of Directors. And with that, your board may, because you're sitting in as a Lake Osan Board of Directors, when your board, if your board is ready, it would be just offer the resolution as amended.
Okay, so public comment is closed unless there's any other questions. Be ready for action.
Offer the resolution as amended.
The resolution's been offered.
Director Owen,
Aye.
Director Sabatier,
Aye.
Director Crandall,
Yes.
Director Pyska,
Yes.
and Director Rasmussen.
Aye. And that carries 5-0. So next, we're going to move on to our 6.3 item. This is a 9:15 item, public hearing setting as the Lake County Sanitation District Board of Directors, consideration of resolution establishing the interim composition of the governing board of the Lake County Sanitation District pursuant to California Health and Safety Code 4730. And again, I'll look to, go ahead, County Council.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you. So with this item, with the caption that's read in this item, would like to also add for clarification, that caption relates to the recommendation A of that item, which is the resolution. But as to item B, which is the appointment of the second county board representative to the Lake Osan County Board, your board would be sitting in as the County Board of Supervisors. So it's really concurrent for this whole item before your board, item 6.3, that your board would be sitting in both as Lake County Sanitation District Board of Directors in relation to item A and as County Board of Supervisors in relation to item B.
Thank you for that clarification. Do we have any questions from board members at this point? Go ahead.
I do have a question to you, Chair, on Section B of this, if you are seeking nominations, or what is the process? Because I would love to offer a nomination if that was available.
Yes, we will be, however, I
You want to
thought,
take them separately?
yeah.
Okay.
And I thought we would maybe open up to the public before we take any actions. So it sounds like, and we'll come back to that, Supervisor. At this point, is there anyone in the room who wishes to make public comment? So we're going to start in the room. And first, I'm going to ask you to also clarify if you're objecting to anything, as part of your public comment.
Yes, I'm looking for additional consideration. Can you hear me? I can't hear myself, so. I have it all written down. Am I started already? Okay.
Yes.
I'm going. These are just one person's comments and open questions concerning the proposed resolution establishing an interim board of Lake Osan as originally heard on July 19th. I believe this action to be hasty and incomplete in its assessment of potential impact to other areas currently served by Lake Osan, specifically those in Area 1 comprised of Clear Lake, Spring Valley, Middletown, and Anderson Springs. Documentation by the City of Clear Lake states that the district boundary itself is even unclear. If that's so, why isn't that where the first step was taken? County and city documents both state that Hidden Valley Community Services District, HVCSD, and Kelseyville County Waterworks District 3 are not owned and operated by Lake Osan, and yet there is currently a request from Hidden Valley CSD to withdraw from Lake Osan, which will be heard, we think, in November by LAFCO. Why then should Hidden Valley be designated a seat on this new interim board? I would ask the same question of Kelseyville Waterworks. If they're not part of Lake Osan, why would they be holding a seat on this new board? Maybe my biggest concern is the lack of transparency in this proposal and all the actions preceding it. Why were none of the city or county committee meetings open to the public? Why were none of the possible stakeholders in this action approached for comment? Why was the special district's administrator excluded from these meetings? Isn't that where the expertise and knowledge exists as to operations, assets, personnel, and potential impact? Despite what your committee thinks, this action does have severe financial impacts for all of us in Spring Valley. Personnel now traveling 20 minutes to a water line break could be traveling 50 minutes or more. And that's dollars to us. And you've all seen us here about dollars. We kind of are picky about that kind of stuff. Daily maintenance and monitoring will encounter those same increases. What happens to the assets of this utility district since they're shared with other communities? Is any 5-member board consisting of 4 seats from 2 government agencies and the 5th member from a public fair? I think legal advice readily accessible to 4 members simply by the nature of the job doesn't sound very fair to me, and I wouldn't want to be that one person who doesn't have equal representation, I guess is what I would say. If the city wants a different structure, why not just detach from Lake Osan and forget all the interim moves, unless there's something else afoot? That's my comment.
Thank you. Next in the room.
Good morning, Board. Genevieve Harrington, Auditor Controller. I just had a couple of questions, mostly about clarifying language. There's mention of 60 days in the resolution, and I wanted to know what happened if the terms weren't met within the 60 days, if it reverts back, does it default to something? And then separately, there's mention to payroll in here, and I would like to ask for clarifying language that the payroll would continue with the same funding source that it has now. And those are the only 2 points I wanted to add.
Thank you. Next in the room. Not seeing any further, so I'm going to go ahead and move to the online. Sterling, and if you could clarify, are you objecting to anything?
Yes, I'm going to object to your section 4730, the health code. It clearly states that it can only be given to a county board supervisor. Hidden Valley cannot give it to another city council member. So I'd really think about that and look into that, because in that health and safety code, it states it in bold writing. So if we try to go around saying, oh, it doesn't say this, so we can try to do this, but if something's stated in bold writing, it usually means that's what it means, nothing else. My other concern would be the detachment with Clear Lake and taking over the sewer plant there, especially when we're working on this energy policy and this energy element, and EGX is knocking at our door. If I heard it right with the planning commission meeting, is our general plan is only for the areas that are not incorporated. So which means the city of Clear Lake can make the decisions on having that power plant if they want. If I'm incorrect, you guys can totally correct me. And I also live in Spring Valley, so this is going to affect us in a major way. So I really hope that we sit down and everybody looks at all the logistics before we just make a drastic move and do it so fast. If they are going to, I do agree that they do need to have their seat on the board. Clear Lake does need to have 1 member because that is fair. But we need to know what else is going on behind the scenes with this, because this could potentially, affect a lot of people. And if that EGX is determining to put it there and Clear Lake deattaches, now they're the ultimate people that are going to make a decision on a 100 megawatt power plant. And I really do believe that Hidden Valley needs to exchange it over to a board member. Maybe Helen Owen can take over the Hidden Valley spot. Jessica Peiska should definitely take over the spot in Kelseyville. And that's how I feel. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sterling. Anyone else? Betsy, and I'll ask you the same question to clarify if you're objecting to anything.
Yes, thank you very much. I am objecting to the whole thing. The first person that commented did not state her name. I'm guessing it's Helen Mitchum. All of her points are very relevant to this issue. I think this is precipitous, and it should go through LAFCO because it's a change of organization. So I think you should take that into consideration. I think this is wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. Tax Collector Sullivan, go ahead.
Morning, Mr. Chair. I have a comment that's similar in nature to Ms. Harrington's comment earlier with the Auditor Controller's Office. In this resolution, perhaps in number 4, if there could be language added to that transition section something to the effect of assignment of county special district staff and source of payroll funding. Something to indicate that that same process is continuing, that the way the sanitation board currently has assigned county staff to that would remain in place, and we would be able to appropriate funds the same way that we do now. So I would appreciate if language could be added to that section to reflect that.
Okay. Anything further? Okay, no other hands. So I'll go ahead and close public comment and bring it back to the board. And just so I can clarify, because that question came up, Johanna, did the first speaker in the room give their name, or did I miss that?
No, but it is on the written statement.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to look over to County Council, and I do have a question regarding the question from the auditor and the tax collector, and ask if you can give any thoughts on that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So much of those questions relate to item 6.2, which your board already discussed and adopted the resolution with that small minor amendment on the signature field. As it relates to this item, understandably, because these are kind of two interrelated items, the resolution that confirms the current processes for administration, legal representation, so on, the one that's under item 6.2. It addresses the category of fiscal accounting wherein your board, through the adoption of the resolution, states that the district shall continue to retain the services of the County of Lake Auditor Control and the Lake County Treasurer Tax Collector for services customarily provided or otherwise statutorily required. So it kept it fairly general as far as any more specifics to be incorporated in that section as it relates to payroll processing. For instance, certainly agreements can be entered into, contracts can be entered into between between Lake Osan and the auditor controller, and also agreements between Lake Osan and the treasurer tax collector. That would be up to the Lake Osan board. It would still be, those types of agreements would be consistent with the provision that's stated under the resolution which your board already approved.
Thank you, County Council. Any other questions from board members? Or I'd like to handle this in order. When we're ready for action, A, and then B.
Mr. Chair, if I may also.
Yes, go ahead.
Also on, as it relates to recommendation A, same, when your board is ready, we do have a couple of, relatively speaking, minor amendments to that, and I walk your board through that. The first one is similar to the previous one, which is on the signature field for the clerk of the board. That's on the last page of this resolution. It states clerk to the board of supervisors under the attest Susan Parker signature field. Should be changed to clerk to the board of directors. So that's the first revision. And then the second one is on the 14th recital of this resolution. There is a blank portion there calling for the number of objections. With the closing of public comment, I believe staff has tracked at least, staff has tracked 3 objections to that. So that blank portion should be filled in by 3. And so if your board is ready to adopt the resolution, it would be offering the resolution as amended.
Go ahead, Supervisor Sabatier.
So I feel I need to at least respond to some of the comments, especially some of the concern was lack of transparency, and so not commenting on the comments or responding to the comments probably just continues to feel like there's a veil of shadow over what we're doing. In section 4730 of the Health and Safety Code, it's basically saying there should be representation. There has to be representation. And this concept of like we're going to force something that a agency has stated we do not want a county person to represent us, you can't force them to not be represented, but yet be represented by somebody they don't want. So there will be continued representation, and that's how we're making this happen, and that's how it's been organized. What else was brought up? The concern, like in my opinion, EGX is a connection that is not a good connection. It's kind of like correlation and causation. They happen to have become a part of the conversation, but have nothing to do with what's been happening here. I'm going to make a statement that in the future, if detachment is made with Southeast, that the city of Clear Lake will never own that system, because there's parts of Windflower Point and there's parts of Lower Lake, and I believe there would be a civil war in Lake County if Clear Lake tried to annex Lower Lake. I don't think that's going to happen. So there will always be a mixed representation, just like right now this composition will be a mixed representation when it comes to if Southeast is detached. I appreciate the concerns that you're bringing about Spring Valley, but Spring Valley and Lake San, in all reality, are two completely separate entities that we need to continue to be partners in. But to say that you're losing because Lake San board is changing, it's just different directors, but the same relationships, but two completely separate entities with different budgets and different fund sources. So I understand where you're coming from because the need of CSA2 and others, but this should change nothing other than a different board of directors that's in charge. When it comes to LAFCO, it's been stated, this is just a change of governments. This is not a change of boundary. This is not a detachment. This is not a dissolution. That's when you would go to LAFCO for getting approval. We're not doing any of those things that require an application. It is just a change of the Board of Governance. And I'm very much in favor of moving forward to ensure that those who have been asking to have a voice on Lake San, deservingly so, get that voice on Lake San.
All right, any further comments? And I'll just quickly add that, as folks may know, it's already determined because I'm the chair that I'm going to be on this new board. That's the one supervisor that we know. And what I've answered in questions to people that I've talked to is, you know, I look at myself as two roles. I'm going to have to look out for the interest of all the ratepayers of the Lake San, but I'm still a county supervisor, and I'm still going to be looking out for the interest of the county and all the other districts that it serves. So that's where I'm at. If there's no other comments, I'd be ready for action on Section A, or
I offer the resolution as amended.
resolution's been offered as amended. What was that?
Directors on this one.
Director Owen.
Aye.
Director Sabatier.
Aye.
Director Crandall.
Yes.
Director Pyska.
Yes.
And Director Rasmussen.
Aye. That motion carries as amended 5-0. Now we're open for nominations to appoint the second county board representative to the Lake San board. Go ahead.
So the way that I look at it is, again, in representation. Chair, you are in a position to represent Northwest and Land's End South Lakeport, and I would like to nominate Supervisor Owen, who would be able to have representation for Anderson Springs, Middletown, and Southeast. That way every single Lake San district is represented from the Board of Supervisors on the new Lake San governance.
So I have a motion or a nomination. Excuse me. Go ahead, County Council. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So before making the motion language or the appointment action, your board may want to just take in public comment as to recommendation B
Okay.
prior to taking any action.
So we'll open up for public comment. At this point, is there anyone in the room? What was that? Anybody online? Not seeing any public comments, so we'll close public comment, bring it back to the board. The Vice Chair.
I would like to, I have a different view of representation, and because District 1 also has the city of Clear Lake. I think that's double representation, and so I would like to see someone else, and I will nominate Supervisor Crandall.
I was gonna nominate you, because it says Kelseyville. Yeah, and that was another concern, not of mine per se, but just hearing the constituency about, usually it would be the chair who is a rotating position, as we know. And that same concern that you just mentioned, I know that eventually supervisor from District 2 will be in charge or be the chair. And so there was concern that there would be, a representation in that manner. I mean, I think it's just as a matter of a statement. I think Supervisor Sabatier would say the same thing that you would say, Brad, is that you represent that area, but also represents the county. So I know that of you. I just wanted to make sure that was said when that comes to that time, because it will, right? Eventually.
Potentially.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was gonna nominate you, so I don't know what we gotta do, paper, rock, scissors, or what, but.
Okay, so I guess I would ask for clarification. I've got one nomination here and two over here, it sounds like. So walk me through how to start the voting on this.
Thank you,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair. So essentially, it would be by motion language, similar to how your board appoints certain members of board-appointed committees and councils. So here we have, what we have is nominations, plural, counted at least 3. And your board may want to have further discussion to see if there is a consensus enough to be reached so that it can get to a point where a motion language would be a motion to appoint such person as the second member of the County Lake Board of Supervisors for the Lake Sand Board of Directors membership to be placed, and then it will proceed to a vote.
Thank you. Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah,
and then Owen.
I just want to push back on a comment. It seems it's stated more often than I'd like to hear that being in Clear Lake or part of Clear Lake is a negative. Chair Rasmussen was Chief Rasmussen for the city of Lakeport, and we have a relationship with the city of Lakeport when it comes to Lake Coast Sand too, but that doesn't seem to come out as being any issue. And so representation of the districts of Lake Coast Sand is the discussion we should be having, not the extra layer of what other regions of fictitious lines we cross over. And I think it's important that Lake Coast Sand is about the sewer district. Do we have the folks that are representing the sewer districts that are being appointed, not caring what district it is or what other regions you might cross over? But I take a little offense to the comment of Clear Lake.
Well, I didn't mean any offense. We're having a fresh start
sorry.
here. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have your
Go
point?
ahead.
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry.
We'll come back to the Vice Chair. Go ahead.
Thank you. I actually feel that the person that is the most knowledgeable and best suited for the extra position is actually Supervisor Sabatier. He's been working on this a number of years. He has a lot of experience, and he's been in negotiations. He does keep the best interest of the county in mind. As for moving, say, for instance, and this is just a thought, because I thought of it too, and this is not it's a position I'd take, but not one that I would really say yay about, because I know this is going to be a heavy lift, and no matter what direction you turn, you're going to have unhappy people, even though we're doing our best. In January, the chair will change. So I know that at some point we had talked about the longevity and having somebody in there that can be on there for a while. We don't want that to be changing constantly. And it'll be going from Supervisor Rasmussen to Supervisor Pyska in January, and that's just a few months away. So that wouldn't make sense to appoint Pyska at this moment. She will be in there in just a few months, and then we'd have to fulfill the other chair. So that's my 2 cents worth. I am willing to take it on, not that I really want it, but I am willing to do it for the people that we all represent.
And I'll go ahead and weigh in. If I was making a nomination, I would nominate Vice Chair Pyska for pretty much that same reason that Supervisor Owen just cited. So that's where I set, that's where my vote would be. But, so now we still have this nomination. We've had discussion. Now we've had discussion about, 2 of us have talked about Pyska, and I believe 3 of us with Supervisor Crandall. Go ahead, Supervisor Crandall.
Yes, I just would, if you're willing to take it, I would, but if you're not, I would take it as well if that was the will of the board. I figured that because it says Kelseyville, it's your district, but again, it's the will of the board. But
Yeah, well, I do want to first respond to Supervisor Sabatier's comments because I meant no offense. We're working really, there's been a lot of conversations about finding balance. And this is a place to have balance is to not have overlap to start off. And that's all I meant. So I'm sorry if you were offended, but there's nothing to be offended by because I just want to make sure that we are starting off on the best possible foot, and that is to have no overlap and just everyone go into this with the best intentions. And I will do it. I think Supervisor Owen has brought up a good point of having consistency because there will be changes in a few months. And I think it's going to be a lot of work to build the formation documents, and it's gonna be a lot of meetings, and so consistency is important.
All right, thanks. So after subsequent to our discussion, I'm seeing a consensus to go a certain direction. Do we want does anyone want to consider withdrawing any nominations, or do I need to vote on? If not, they'd have to vote on the first one and then the second one. Go ahead, County Council.
Well, your board may utilize that process. Just to note that really we're working under 4730.1 of the Health and Safety Code, and it speaks to this second member from the County of Lake to be appointed by your Board of Supervisors. So while understandably there's a nomination process, eventually it does lead to just a motion in order for it to, and approval of the motion by a majority vote for it to take into effect. So that would be where your board may be right now.
Yeah.
Just for, if your board is ready to make a motion for an appointment, similar to how your board appoints, again, councils and committees that are board appointed.
Based on the discussion, I think that's where we are. If you want to help us with that.
So one possible option, a motion language for your board is to a motion to appoint Vice Chair Pyska as the second member of the Lake Osan Board of Directors, second member on behalf of as part of the County of Lake Board of Supervisors, second member to the Lake County Sanitation District Board of Directors. That would be the motion.
so moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
That carries 3-2. Thank you. And that will conclude the 9:15 item, and I'm going to go ahead and I need to take a break for about 5 minutes before we handle 6.4. Thank you. to order. And we're going to go to our 6.4 10 a.m. item. This is consideration of a report from the Lake County Regional Housing Trust Fund on a contract award to Rural Communities Housing Development Corporation for the Regional Housing Trust Fund contract project, homeownership opportunity program in the amount of $1.25 million. And we have our Deputy Administrative Officer for Housing, Lisa Judd, and I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Board. Lisa Judd, Deputy County Administrative Officer for Housing, also Administrator for the Lake County Regional Housing Trust Fund. On August 5th, 2026, the Housing Trust Fund Board of Trustees, pursuant to the administrative guidelines, awarded Rural Communities Housing Development Corporation the Notice of Funding Opportunity and RFP 272070 in the amount of $1,250,000 for the Home Ownership Opportunity Program. The contract will be signed pursuant to the Lake County Regional Housing Trust Fund administrative guidelines by the designated signatories for the Housing Trust Fund, the County Administrative Officer Susan Parker, and the Lakeport City Manager Kevin Ingram. The Home Ownership Opportunity Program focuses on creating 10 new single-family homes for residents earning up to 80% AMI. The project will be using the infill development strategy and allows for much-needed workforce housing. And today I would like to give you a brief PowerPoint presentation on this program. The Lake County Regional Housing Trust Fund, their purpose is here to promote thriving, sustainable communities in Lake County, including the incorporated cities, by providing flexible financing for development and preservation of housing that meets a range of income levels and fosters environmental responsibility, economic growth, and a high quality of life for residents, while the preservation of rural characteristics of Lake County. Next slide. The basics of this program are that the shared equity home ownership is a self-sustaining model that will take a one-time public investment to make a home affordable for lower income families, and then restricts that home sale price for each time it's sold after that for a period of time. In this case, it'll be 30 years. The model balances wealth building for families who would otherwise be unable to afford a home while preserving the community's investment. With this opportunity, we have the connection to our guiding documents, and one of those is the Housing Action and Implementation Plan. There was a widespread support when we did community engagement for the HAPE regarding infill development, and this project very much focuses on infill development. When we asked the community of Lake what they should focus on, one of the things that they came back very strongly was at 52% was people who work in Lake County. And single family homes were also highly needed in this county. And for those goals, we have the first goal of create housing for all economic levels and build a variety of housing types. In our strategy 5, part of that is to serve the Lake County's workforce. Along with that, another goal is encourage and facilitate infill development strategy, and those strategies here focusing on sites that were access to infrastructure, resources, and transportation, as well as fire-safe areas. Okay, so what are the dynamics of this program? It's just outside of Lakeport, just north of Lakeport. There are the 10 sites. There will be 10 new homes that will be built there, single-family homes. They will be manufactured homes. There are 6 that will be in the Island View subdivision and 4 that will be in the Grand View Estates subdivision. Of these, who will be eligible for these? It will be families up to 80% of AMI. 100% of AMI right now, excuse me, area median income is $104,500 for a family of 4, so 80% of that would be $83,600. The subsidy is maxed per unit at $125,000. The restrictions on this, it is deed restricted, so that if a person sells the home, then another eligible family will be able to purchase it. And the affordability period for this program is 30 years. The requirements. The owner must have this as their primary residence. The owner agrees to resell the property to an income eligible buyer at a below market rate formula determined price. Our particular formula is a appraisal based formula. And this covenant will also bind the present owner and future owners of this unit for the term of 30 years. One thing I should mention with the equity formula, the longer they're in the home, the longer or the more they'll have a percentage of that equity in the home. And this is kind of the steps here. The home buyer qualifies and purchases the deed restricted home at below market rate. The homeowner gains wealth as they pay down the principal, and it appreciates, the home appreciates in value typically. The current owner decides to sell the home to another family that basically pays it forward. And then last, the consultant qualifies another family in that pipeline to purchase the home. And that is the presentation for this home ownership opportunity program. As you know, this is the first program that we're rolling out with the Housing Trust Fund, and we are currently also working on a rehabilitation program that we'll be bringing to your board next. And I thank you for the opportunity to share this with you.
Thank you. Questions from board members at this point?
And I should mention also that RCHDC, I believe that that staff is also online as well.
Okay. Vice Chair, you want to go first?
Well, I think this is a great presentation and great progress. It wasn't very many years ago we had to give money back because we didn't have any projects ready. So both of these projects are in North Lakeport, is that right? And where exactly are they? Is that unincorporated?
It is in the unincorporated, in just north of Lakeport. And when we went through there, the Island View Estates subdivision, they're scattered, so they're not like in one, row or spot. They're scattered sites of empty lots. So this is a perfect thing for us to tackle with that info.
And how were those sites chosen?
So this came from the notice of funding opportunity. So the contractor, RCHDC, had these 10 sites already. They already owned these sites, and so they brought that in their proposal.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Supervisor Sabatier?
Yeah, I guess I have a little, just wanted to share and express a little bittersweet. I had higher aspirations for the $2 million in the land trust. I have hope that this program will work, but I have concerns. But I guess my biggest concern is just the 14. I know we're in a rush, and that's part of, I think, our problem, is that we need to expend these funds, not just hand them over to our CHDC, but actually have them use those funds and pay for things to have happen before December 31st. And that, I think, puts us in a strange time crunch. But the 14-day bid period for such an important housing project just seems like we potentially cut ourselves short from allowing people time to really submit proposals. And I would love to see us do more. I would love to see us do more.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it. I hope that it works out well. It's better than losing our money, but the project does not excite me in a way that I had hoped that these types of projects coming out of our housing trust fund would.
Any other board members? I'll open and, did any of you mentioned some staff, did they want to offer any?
Just if there were
Just
any,
if we have
any questions.
Okay. Then I'll open it up to the public. Do I have anybody in the room? No, don't see any. Nobody online? Then I'll bring it back to the board. This is just a presentation at this point. I'll add, I do appreciate all the work that we're doing on housing. I know you've been doing a lot for the past 2-3 years at least, and housing remains a problem that we don't have enough of it. So just appreciate all the work, and thank you for updating us.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be able to introduce 10 new homes into Lake County.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
Exciting.
It's a big deal. I think that's it then for this. And it's not 11 CAO.
Yes, you may have the option to either do calendars or if you'd like, do 7.2.
So let me look at that. I'll go ahead and call 7.2. That way board members have a little bit more time on their calendars. If we have time, I'll probably get to that before lunch. But we'll call 7.2, which is consideration of a resolution supporting the opportunity zones 2.0, local authority recommendation, forms submitted to the Go Biz, and this will be handled by Mr. Rickelman from the CAO office, and I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, sir, for the presentation.
Good morning, Board. Ben Rickelman. I'm a Deputy County Administrative Officer with the county. So this is a resolution regarding the federal capital gains incentive program known as Opportunity Zones. If you recall, we did a joint letter with the cities a few months ago where we prioritized 6 of the 9 eligible census tracts. And after that occurred, GoBiz came out with this local recommendation program. So it was a pretty quick turnaround when that was announced. So I worked with the city managers in Lakeport and Clear Lake, and with that we submitted forms for each census tract explaining what the planning and initiatives that were occurring in those census tracts, planned investment, what was possible. After that occurred, there is now this public open comment period to August 28th, and so that is what this resolution is for. After we submitted the forms on the 3rd, the state published a map and a list of their recommended census tracts for selection. For Lake County, it is currently 2. One is the census tract that covers most of Lakeport, and then the other one is 703, that is northern Clear Lake. So there has been some discussion regarding what would be the county's negotiation posture with the state. So 2 out of 9 is roughly the proportion of statewide for the census tracts the state has currently picked to the ratio of eligible census tracts. So there might not be a proportionality argument to be made, but if we can make an argument regarding specific census tracts, that might have stronger footing. And so the resolution attached to the agenda is just kind of explaining the history, explaining our preference for the 9 census tracts, how we listed them in priority, and just asking for board support for that.
Okay, we'll start with Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, I appreciate the conversation I had with Mr. Rickelman. My perspective on this was 2 is ridiculous in the sense of being somewhere in the state average when we are not the state average as far as being a disadvantaged community, that we could use all the potential economic benefits from getting people to invest here in Lake County. But also, on the other hand, just putting right back and saying, here are the 9 in order, do better than 2. I think we need to be somewhere in the middle in what we're offering. And I know that Mr. Rickelman had submitted to me a suggestion on potentially dwindling it down to 5, I think it was. Because my comments were either we pick the top 5 in the list based on preference that was already done by the cities in the county, or we do something that's a little bit more even, where it's 1 for Lakeport because they only have 1 that's available to them, 2 for the county, and 2 for the city. And if I can put it right back to you.
Sure. So I think that negotiation posture makes sense. I did pick 4. So I did the top 4 that the conversation with the county and the 2 city managers. And the reason I did 4 instead of 5 is because we filled out those local recommendation forms, kind of listing all the development possibilities and the planning initiatives. And I just think those top 4 were just stronger in material provided to the state.
And can you please provide those numbers for the top 4? I don't have them right in front of me, and I apologize for that.
No
I know,
problem.
I know it was the Lucerne area.
Yes.
It was the Lakeport area, but then I forget which numbers they were for the city of Clear Lake.
So it was 801, the southern one, where the airport redevelopment would be located, and then keeping the 703, which is northern Clear Lake. And the 801 was, with the conversation with the city managers, that was ranked number 1.
Right.
So northern and southern Clear Lake, Lucerne, and Lakeport, and all of Lakeport, basically, or
Almost all of it.
almost.
402?
Which part is not?
I could bring up a map.
Okay,
It's the northern edge. if I
Northern
remember
edge?
correctly. Yeah.
okay. Thank you. Any other board questions right now? Not seeing any, so I'm going to go ahead and open it to the public. Do we have anyone in the room? City Manager Ingram, go ahead.
Yes, good morning, Chair Rasmussen and members of the board. First, just want to give my thanks to Ben on this one. This one's been, it's been interesting. It keeps changing quite a bit. The federal objective, we're very excited to have the opportunity to do this again. We were under the impression that Opportunity Zones 1.0 would not be changing for the foreseeable future. So when 2.0 came up, we were very excited to get this opportunity. But, you know, kind of navigating the Fed guidelines, and then the state came out with their own stuff. It keeps jumping back and forth. So, but just definitely want to express City of Lakeport's support, and certainly would love to see all 9 of the Lake County ones get in here. But I think also just being, you know, truthful with the fact that it's not likely that we're going to get all 9 in. So I do think there is some value. I saw briefly this morning the changes that Ben was kind of proposing into it. I think that is a good approach, kind of trying to prioritize those pieces together. There has been a lot of work that's gone on the past several years in investing resources and going through, so it was a little disappointing to see some of the areas that were included in 1.0 be kind of removed. We were hoping that we'd see those there and then be able to add additional ones on top of it. So I do, it would be my recommendation that the board move forward with the, as Ben is, you know, kind of outlined there, trying to prioritize a couple of them in there. I think it's just a really good regional approach to get some in there. But with that said, of course, Lakeport was very happy to see the Lakeport one go in. Lakeport essentially is broken into 2 census tracts, and the northern one kind of, it roughly follows 11th Street, but not quite. That northern one was not one that was even qualified on the original piece, so that one didn't have an opportunity to even be sought in there, but we're excited to see that one in there. So that would be my recommendation, that your board, you know, make that hard choice of prioritizing some of those in there, because it's just unlikely by the numbers that we'll get all 9 in there. But definitely very complimentary to Ben's effort on keeping us informed of the changes. There was like a 2-week period there where the state kept changing their requirements quite a bit, and we got all our information in there. We have an item this evening also to a letter of support, and it was my intention of attaching your resolution, if you guys move forward with that, to our letter of support as well. So thank you. Happy to answer any additional questions.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else in the room? Not seeing any. Do we have anyone online? No hands? Then I'll close public comment and bring it back to the board. Go ahead, Supervisor.
So I know that you had sent me an amendment with section 5 through 7. Is that still, are you in favor of proposing that and adding the bottom, which is section 7, which identifies the very specific ones that we are urging the governor to include?
Yes, so that section 7 lists the 4 census tracts out. And I guess just one other small detail. So on the preliminary list, the state listed about 22.5% of the eligible census tracts, and the ceiling is 25%. So I think the state purposely left a buffer about 2.5% to add additional census tracts to its nomination list. So I think they are taking this public comment period seriously and will add additional census tracts.
And I don't know, I'm looking on the agenda, I don't think there is an updated revised resolution, is there?
Correct. I just sent it.
Is it possible to pop it up on the screen
Sure, I can do that.
so that we can see it? And I don't know if I'm going to get yelled at, but if it's going to be just that, I don't know that 703 is the best in the sense I do know EGX is interested there, but I also know that 702 covers the Walmart area where there's a lot of anticipated plans surrounding that area. So I'm almost wanting to see if we can change 703 to 702, and I'll get yelled at by the city manager later if that's incorrect, or I'll hear my phone buzz if that's incorrect. But I know that there's a lot of work being done in that area. And I do have hope that there is potential to make some of these changes. I know in the first Opportunity Zones 1.0 under President Trump's first term, we were able to move some of the census tracts and get momentum in that direction. And I think working together as a team between both cities and the county, which was not the case last time, that we can maybe make a better argument this time. It's got an alias.
Let's just take a minute to upload. Is there any other board questions while we're waiting for that? No? Then we'll give it a minute and wait for it to come up.
So the first two sections of the proposed amendment is just kind of an overview of the program and Lake County's economic situation. And so if you want to edit it, I think we could just change the census numbers in section 7. And so the only time in the amendment 703 is mentioned is in section 7, so 802 could be swapped out there.
Or is it 702? I think it is.
All right.
Yeah,
702.
702.
702, okay.
Is where Walmart is.
That makes sense. I think the rest of the amendment would be fine. It would just be that numerical switch.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions? Or are we ready for action?
I offer the resolution as amended.
Resolution's been offered as amended.
Supervisor Owen? Supervisor Sabatier?
Aye.
Supervisor Crandall?
Yes.
Supervisor Pyska?
Yes.
And Supervisor Rasmussen?
Aye. And that carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Rickelman. I believe you're going to stay here.
Yep.
And we're going to move on to we're going to go back to our 11 a.m. item. This is consideration of informational update on broadband infrastructure programs. Again, Mr. Rickelman will present, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. I'm going to try to join Zoom another way and see if that will let me do share screen. I think because I was yeah, I think if I open it up through the Zoom desktop, I was doing it through Granicus before. Yeah. I learned my lesson. Okay. Okay. Good morning, Board. Ben Rickelman again, Deputy County Administrative Officer. I'm just here with an informational update regarding the broadband programs that are in development in Lake County. These all stem from federal legislation. There is the three major programs is BEAD, Broadband Equity Access and Deployment, the federal funding account, which is federal funding and state funding operated by the CPUC, and then the state middle mile network. So the reason I bring this here today is I think we had the last major regulatory action regarding this, which was the NTIA, the national federal entity overseeing broadband, approved California's BEAD program about a month ago. So it still needs final CPUC approval, which we're anticipating in September. But I think the green light has been given. So all three of these programs are now in action. Permitting still needs to occur to certain degrees with all of them. But the path to deployment seems pretty clear now. BEAD is the largest. It's about 1.5 billion for California. We anticipate 2,228 Lake County residences receiving service through this, or the offer of service, through 6 subgrantees. It's a variety of different internet technology. Then with FFA, this is all fiber to the premise for residents, and it's 2,161 through 3 different projects with 2 ISPs. And then there's the middle mile, which is an open access backhaul network the state is constructing. And in Lake County, it follows the state route system 29, 53, and 20. So BEAD was restructured with the Trump administration. The emphasis was on cost, so cost competitive and technology neutral now. It used to prefer fiber to the premise. And so with Lake County's topography and rural nature, that primarily means now satellite. And a bunch of other requirements were removed. There is a low cost service option that will be for 10 years of the federal interest period, which I think will be from 2029 to 2039 for BEAD. So Amazon is introducing satellite internet service for residential. They anticipate by the end of this year, it might be in 2027. It's called Amazon Leo. It's currently just for select enterprise clients at the moment. But as you can see with the 6 subgrantees, it's a range of technologies. We have Trellis, which is mostly down by Hidden Valley Lake, Starlink, which a lot of Lake County residents already have, Valley Internet, which acquired Lake County Broadband Solutions several months ago, and they are also fixed wireless. AT&T, in conjunction, they have FFA projects that are fixed wireless in the southern end of the county in Cobb, and this kind of complements it. And then Hobbimatol Pomo of Upper Lake is starting up their own ISP, and they will have licensed fixed wireless. So as due to kind of the geographic nature of Lake County, as I was explaining, about 70% of the locations will be served by satellite. And so since there's no on-the-ground infrastructure for satellite, what that means for BEAD is BEAD will pay for the equipment in the install. And then if they qualify for the income threshold program, that's also available. So this was mapped out with the FCC fabric data and the CPUC data. The subgrantees are generally concentrated in certain geographic regions, except for the satellite, which is more spread out. And I know these maps are kind of small, so I'll just talk through them. So there's 3 FFA projects in total, 2,161 locations. Mediacom, most of it is in Spring Valley, so they will provide fiber to the premise in Spring Valley, which I believe just has satellite at the moment. And then there's certain pockets, mostly around the lake, that they'll also do for a little over 1,000 locations. AT&T, one of the project areas is in the south end of the county, south of Middletown, near the Napa border. And then they also have a project location in the Cobb area. And then to the right is a map from the middle mile contractor, American Dark Fiber. And they're in different permitting stages for the project, but hopefully overall construction will start soon. And all these projects require CEQA except for satellite. So that has explained the gap from some of the awards we heard in 2025 and why action might just start relatively soon. So nomenclature you frequently hear with broadband is unserved and underserved. So unserved is below 25 megabytes per second download and 3 megabytes per second upload. And underserved is below 100 megabytes per second download and 25 upload. So the strong majority of BEAD locations were those unserved locations. About 20% were underserved. One other change with the BEAD is the state is no longer involved in setting the low-cost service option. That is driven by the subgrantee themselves, so they decide that. So for the satellite, it is higher. Amazon, it is at $70 a month, and then Starlink is $80, where the rest of the ISPs is from about $30 to $50. And that lasts for about 10 years. The FFA, because it is regulated through the state, it's a CPUC program. It has stronger income eligible programs. And so Mediacom has a few of them. They have a $15 one, a $40 one, and then AT&T has a $30 one. And the BEAD one also, for eligibility, it has a lower threshold following Lifeline at 135% federal poverty level, whereas FFA is 200%. And so that's the presentation. Happy to discuss in more details, but just want to give this overview now that all three of the major programs are in motion.
Thank you. Vice Chair?
Well, thanks for our conversation yesterday, and I'm really glad to see that the transition from Lake County Broadband with Valley has gone smoothly, and we see a lot of purple there in the more concentrated areas of Big Valley and Lakeport. And there has been so much work and activity all around the Cobb area in particular. I want to just let everyone know I already have AT&T service and it is so much cheaper. But it's really great to see the work that's happening and getting people reliable internet in these communities that have been underserved and non-served. So really just, I'm grateful for this work, Ben. It really took someone to be embedded in our admin office to champion this. We've really come a long way since the years when we just had a strategic plan and we were trying to figure out what to do with all of these different programs.
Any other supervisor comments? I appreciate it. I did share, because I had a town hall last night in Scotts Valley, that this was on here, and if they weren't able to make it, they could go ahead and see the presentation online or go back and watch the video. So I definitely want to try to keep public info out about this topic, just so folks are very well aware. Go ahead.
Yeah, and just following up on that, I did say it would be a great presentation to have in the MAX.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, go ahead, Supervisor Owen.
I'm wondering, it's showing that, I'm hearing that it's into Hidden Valley already, but I don't know if that's hookup or just putting it in. Are these maps, the maps are showing that they're just starting to put it in those areas?
So I think it just depends on the ISP and where they are in their permitting process. And some of them, what they're doing is they are permitted in a certain part of the county already, and they're just going ahead and doing that install. And some of them are waiting until it's all permitted and then proceeding. So I can check with Trellis to see where they are, because they are just there. But there's a few other ISPs that kind of touch Hidden Valley, so I can follow up on that and see.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I think that's it. Let's go ahead and open it up to the public. Do we have anybody in the room? Don't see any. Anybody online? No? Well, did you still have something? Go ahead.
I'm
Close
sorry.
public comment. Go ahead, Supervisor Owen.
I had a question from a constituent out in the Morgan Valley area. So in that area, it doesn't look like they're going to be running, but they could still use the satellite to reach those areas. Is that correct?
Yeah, from what I see from the map, Morgan Valley is going to be satellite only, so for these programs. So either, and it seems like it's almost all Amazon in Morgan Valley, so Amazon should be reaching out to the selected locations.
Okay.
And I can send you that map. And so they should be offering install and the labor to do the equipment. Kind of a weird thing with BEAD is, so they concentrated on these unserved and underserved locations, which they selected, but they didn't consider if that location has satellite service. That was a decision by the feds. So I think there will be a decent amount of Lake County residents who already have Starlink that are going to get approached, and they could have BEAD. So I mean, if they want to switch to Amazon, that's on them, but there'll also be a good amount of residents in the more rural areas that don't have satellite that now have this option of free equipment and install in at least the 10-year if they qualify with the income thresholds.
Right, and that's exactly, I've had people reach out that have no service out there, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rickelman. We appreciate you coming in and the continued work on this for Lake County. Thank you. And with that, we're going to move on to our 7.3, which is consideration of a special district user fees and Proposition 26 user fee study. This will be presented by special districts. We have Director Boré here and staff. And I'll go ahead and turn it over to you whenever you're set up.
Johanna's promoting our consultant, so she can answer questions and also kind of go over what her process was for these fees. So this item before you is user fees or like incidental fees that are usually under the master fee program or master fee schedule for the county. So all the other departments have these similar fees. They're not ratepayer fees. And Allison will explain the difference of how these fees, why these fees are about. But we missed the master fee schedule resolution. We didn't have this completed in time. So in all transparency, we're bringing it back as a separate item so that you can see we're updating some of our existing fees, such as like inspections and mainline extensions and stuff like that that are not specifically rated to ratepayer fees or monthly service fees for utility costs. But these are, some of them call them more like development or user fees. And Allison will explain the difference and why this isn't a Prop 218 process, why she used the Prop 226 process, which is a newer process with new state law explaining that, and it's not a tax, like a parcel tax. And so it's comes to you as the Board of Supervisors for the county. It's not a LACO SAN thing or a specific CSA thing. It's a county fee. Allison?
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. All right. So we conducted this study. It's a Proposition 26 study. It's a different process than other types of fees. You're most familiar with me doing Proposition 218, property-related water and sewer service fees. This is a totally different type of process. It's based on Proposition 26, which was amendments to the California Constitution in 2010. And it lays out different qualifications for regulatory fees, facility rental fees, and user service fees that are not the property-related fees, for water and sewer ongoing bi-monthly service. So the way these fees work is we demonstrate that they are cost-based. So we interviewed staff, looked at the number of hours per different staff classifications at the county and how many hours each staff member would use to provide different types of services. We also looked at materials and supplies, so vehicles, equipment, software, printing and mailing costs, if it's like a customer notification for a certain issue. So all of those fully burdened costs can be collected from people, participating in the service. On top of that, public agencies are permitted to recover an administrative or indirect overhead allocator. So it's for, legal review and, the office space needed for staffing to provide the fees and services, logistics of having your vehicle fleet available, those kinds of things. Usually we assign the indirect cost allocator based on a cost allocation plan. Your agency, the county, didn't have that available. So typically 5 to 10% is industry average for overhead. So we did use a 5% administrative cost allocator. So we did receive some questions ahead of time. So I'll go ahead and respond to those. So one question was, why do we need these fees now? These are cost-based fees. So every time a service is provided to a customer, so a customer requests maybe a plan check fee, that does require staffing costs of your county staff. It requires services and materials and supplies. So if you are not directly recovering those costs from that customer, those are expenses that are just absorbed into general county administrative and overhead, budget. So this is considered a more fair way to recover direct costs from the customers or the residents that are either requesting specific types of services or who are in violation, and there's a regulatory penalty for some of the fees. Let's see. So these are not services and fees that are recovered through utility rates. Again, this is a different process, a Prop 26 process versus the Proposition 218 property-related fee. We got some questions about why are particular hours shown for one fee or a different type of fee. Again, that's based directly on our interviews with staff and the level of effort needed to provide certain types of services. We got asked about deposits. Some of the fees we do recommend being a deposit billing method where the customer requesting the service pays an initial deposit, and if they go over that deposit, so if they have a particularly complex situation that requires extra staff time, then they would be charged above that deposit amount. But the deposit was set as kind of the lower end estimate of the fee. So we don't envision the deposit situation as constantly being, issuing checks back for refunds. It really is the lower end deposit, lower end estimate, and then for those more complex cases, the staff can bill time and materials on top of that. And again, the intention is to more directly recover the fair cost of providing staff time and materials to the customers that are requesting it. We received a question about, is this discouraging development? And again, I go back to the issue of fairness, that there is a cost for county staff to review plan checks, to inspect, service connections, to provide materials and vehicles to address issues requested by customers. And if the county is not directly recovering those costs from the customers requesting those services, then it is staff time that then is absorbed by the general or administrative overhead of the county's budget. So, Proposition 26 user fees, most public agencies have a schedule of fees like this, available to respond to customer requests for specific types of services. We use this industry standard methodology, again, consistent with the legal requirements of Proposition 26. So I'm happy to answer any questions or concerns.
Okay, anything else, Director Bure?
I think she explained the difference of why now, why these fees. Some of them we are just actually updating our master fee schedule. We did have an inspection fee, was $50. And we had a mainline extension fee, which was a very minutia amount, didn't cover any of the actual cost. It was they haven't been updated in forever. And then there's some that we've come up with, like grease trap inspections and backflow device inspections, which those kind of things don't apply to just everyone, and that's why they're an individual fee. They could also be, somebody wanting to, they don't have a sewer connection or a water connection, but they're thinking about something, and planning has like a pre-development kind of thing. So we would have that some of these costs could be tied to something like that, of like what if scenario kind of stuff.
Okay. My question right now is related to, are some of these fees going to be going to special districts budget and some going to the Lake Osan budget?
No, these would all go into the admin overhead budget for the county of Lake in our 295 fund. So they aren't specific. They aren't related to Lake Osan or any specific district. These are extraordinary things that happen outside of the regular realm of those districts.
But would any of that money be used for Lake Sand projects?
Well, they wouldn't be like projects. It's basically to pay for administrative time, to do plan review, or go out and do a grease trap inspection that's not part of the ratepayer assessments of a monthly fee, or a new restaurant. Somebody's thinking they're going to open a new restaurant. Okay, well then, Albert's going to have to go out and see if they have a grease trap, where they could put a grease trap, that kind of stuff, which is not part of the regular fees. So they would not be part of Lake Sand or any of the water CSAs, because there would be, water stuff as well. They wouldn't be part of, say, Spring Valley or Soda Bay or anything like that, because those specific fees for those districts are already part of the rates. And those are already part of the Prop 218 fees of, like their connection fee, their monthly billing fees. Those are already there. These are things that are outside of that realm.
Okay, Supervisor Sabatier?
So I understand what you're attempting to do. I don't feel comfortable with moving forward today yet. Number one, it needs to be mixed in with our normal fee schedule if these are going to be our Lake County, meaning not Lake Sand fees, rather than a separate thing. When we do our fee schedule revision, sometimes it's just agriculture, sometimes it's just community development, but it would be nice to have a continuity in how we've been doing those updates so that we can put that in that format and then make it a part of the larger fee schedule so everybody can find it in one place. But number two, I'm stuck between, if I go in Northwest and do an inspection of a Northwest grease trap, that money, if I'm being paid for that service, should go back to Northwest. And there should be time studies on everything that's being done in the special districts admin, in the sense that I'm working on Northwest stuff, I'm working on Southeast stuff, and if money is being paid to us for services being provided for a specific region or area, that money needs to stay within that area. And I'm worried that the answer I heard was it just goes back into this mixture of things. And so, which leads me to believe that with the action that we just took earlier, I think we need to be careful about setting fees that maybe that's a Lake Sand fee. If it's a water fee or other things, Kelseyville, that's a different sewer district, then we can do those here. But if we have a fee that eventually is tagged to that district, but yet can be pulled from special districts, because special districts doesn't make revenue, they get revenue from the districts themselves that helps pay for the staff. This would be a different revenue, and if that revenue is spread across all of them and it's not identified as to which district, I just have concerns and I feel I need clarification. And I would love to ask County Council on, is there a need for that clarification, especially with the action we just took? Because I'm concerned that we're blending things that maybe we need to unblend, or I just need to unblend my brain and better understand what it is that I'm not understanding.
And that's kind of what I was, just one
You want-
second.
Oh, okay, you're gonna have Lloyd, or do you want Allison to explain too?
Well, I was going to go to County Council first, but I just want to say that's what I'm trying to wrap my head around, because, or in asking the question about where does the money go and all that. Go ahead, County Council.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, yes, to the extent that further clarification needs to be made, I would agree with that. Doesn't have the page, but roughly, the study memo that was dated July 31, 2026 makes brief reference to Lake Sand in relation to the grease interceptor program. It might have cited that by way of background, but that forms perhaps the basis for the proposed grease trap inspection fee under Table 10. So there needs to be some clarification to that. I believe that's the only place here in this memo that makes reference to Lake Sand. The board memo, it did not make specific reference to your board sitting in as Lake Sand Board of Directors. So It may be, it could be construed as just your board taking action on areas to which your board has jurisdiction over, as the County of Lake Board of Supervisors. But further clarification may need to be made as to which of those areas are, because it's not very clear, it's not too clear on the memo. I did send out an inquiry to Special Districts Administrator Bore. We had, regarding the Prop 218 process, and I believe part of that has been addressed by the consultant. Just to note that, I believe under this same July 31st, 2026 consultant's memo, it did state that this process would fall under one or more of the exemptions stated under Proposition 26. Perhaps further clarification would need to be made as to which those exemptions are. There's 7 of them here, one of which, the 7th exemption, specifically cites that it's whether or not it's a property, if the fees being proposed would be a property-related fee subject under the provisions of Proposition 218, which is a separate process altogether. So there may need to be some further clarification, discussions or research on that. At this point, based on my office's research on this, I just would like to cite, and I cited this in my communications with Special Districts Administrator Bore, that under California Constitution, Article 13D, Section 2, which is the Proposition 218 process, Sub E defines fee or charge under that section as a levy other than an ad valorem tax, special tax, or an assessment imposed by an agency upon a parcel as an incident of property ownership, including a user fee or charge for a property-related service. So again, going along the same lines of what types of clarifications may be needed here, perhaps further clarification will need to be made on how the user fees that are being proposed here is not a charge for a property-related service. And so those would be my initial comments. Your board certainly can have those discussions as part of this item discussion. As part of this item, the other option is for your board to continue this item to a later date, so that more time can be provided to obtain, to present to address those clarification requests. It's up to your board.
And thank you, and I just wanted to comment that that's when I reviewed the documents with the grease trap with the Lake Sand is what got me thinking. So, go ahead, Vice Chair.
So, so my understanding is that we want to have a user fee so that our staff in the department are not subsidizing this work, that it's being, that the hours for this work are being paid for by the user. And and you said it's an admin fund?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's our overhead fund.
Right.
So right now, all the districts pay into our overhead, which covers everything that our admin office does. We do already have a $50 inspection fee.
Mm-hmm.
This is just adjusting it to current times. It's not that there wasn't a fee before. And it's also not a specific ratepayer fee, because it's not fair under Prop 218 to say, if we charge EJ for a grease trap that Brad has at a restaurant and we spread that against all of the ratepayers versus it's that one individual. It's a requirement under the sewer use ordinance, of course, but the actual inspection and enforcement of that is specific to that one action and is not part of the rates.
Right, and so the admin fund is, all the districts contribute to it. And so we've got one inspection fee. We need to expand it because there are other specific user fees that come across.
Yes.
Correct? Okay. So, yeah, maybe it does need to be articulated a little clearer. I understand it. I think it would be good to also have an attachment that shows how it fits into the user fee, or the fee schedule, so that we can see where it all aligns. So I understand it. I think maybe we need to bring it back with one more step of clarity.
So can we ask Allison, there was a question from the county council about which of the exemptions. Can we have her hit on which of the exemptions that are listed in the staff report?
Hang on one second, let me go to Supervisor Sabatier for her.
And I apologize for that. I don't mean to be rude or aggressive. I would prefer that conversation just happen. If there's need for clarity and need to come back, if it's possible to have the rest of that conversation continue offline, so then we can come back with whatever they've discussed and whatever our county council advises us to move forward with, rather than having that discussion live between the contractor and our county council.
Yes, go ahead, CAO.
Thank you, Chair. Given the light of the concerns from County Council and some of the additional questions, admin is more than willing to help with special districts and County Council to come back on the 25th with more clarity and recommendations.
Okay. And good, do you have something else?
Yeah, I do have one more. So again, I understand what is being offered here and suggested. My two questions that I have is, will there be stacks of, I'm going to review plans and I'm going to do a line extension, or is it line extension covers everything, which includes the site visit, which includes the I just want to make sure it's not stacked, so it's very clear
Correct.
From a contractor perspective. And I also have a bit of a hesitancy on a site visit, because we need to have some level of not making people pay to play to even look at development in this county. We struggle enough with development that we should get to a certain level of point where maybe that can occur, but not like we need to have these initial discussions without saying, I can't go out and have a discussion with you unless you pay. Like I'm concerned about what that means and where it fits, so I just want to at least air that out in case that can get cleared up.
Well, I mean, we have pre-development meetings that you can have access to staff without a cost. And I don't know if special districts has pre-development, or if you would be a part of those conversations.
Well, sometimes we go to those meetings, but the individual ratepayers are not
Right.
reimbursed for that, so that comes out of overhead. The importance of site visits. Lake County, as you know, the topography is not level. And so just because there's a connection next door doesn't necessarily mean that somebody else can gravity feed into the pipe. So that's the importance of site visits, just to make sure that, is it even feasible for this person to connect to the sewer? Because it may be within the 200 feet, but it may not be feasible. So, and that's an inspection where the crew needs to go out there and actually assess where's the nearest manhole, what's how deep would the sewer have to be, or do they need a grinder pump or that kind of stuff.
Well, and I do think it's important that an applicant or a user cover those costs, so that, again, we're not subsidizing. But if there is another way to subsidize that from an economic development perspective, it should come from a different fund.
Okay, I'm in favor of bringing it back, so I think we have consensus on that. But we need to open up to the public. Is there anybody in the room? Not at this point. Anybody online? I'll close public comment and bring it back to the board. We have consensus. Thank you, CAO, for your work with special districts, and thank you. And then we're going to move on to supervisor reports. I believe that's the last item before timed after lunch. Anybody ready to start? It looks
Yeah, I have a RCRC tomorrow, and then Worth. I have a constituent meeting Thursday, and then another constituent meeting Friday. One will be in Clear Lake Oaks Thursday, and the other one will be in Lucerne Friday. Back here for a CAO meeting. I know I got something else on Monday, but Oh, yes, I'll be meeting, be going to the Lucerne Firehouse to just meet with the, or just witness or be a part of the meeting that they're having with their, they're having a consultant to talk about some things, and so I was just gonna go to their meeting and witness and be a part of it, yeah.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
Sure, I'll report on what I did last week. I had several internal meetings, but we finally had a tour with Congressman Thompson on the home hardening program, which was really great. His support to keeping that going is really important. We had a great BVAC meeting that was at our new temporary location in Findlay. A lot of people joined us for that one. And then Fire Safe Council meeting was Thursday. Friday, with some more internal meetings, senior center meetings, and CSAC Leadership Women's Forum. And then we had Risk Reduction Authority yesterday, which was great.
Thank you. Go ahead, Supervisor Sabatier.
Yeah, just a couple of things. Some of it's older than some of the other information. Just a couple of ribbon cuttings that occurred in District 2. Barbecue by Biasati's moved from Middletown and reopened in Clear Lake, which is the Biasati's original home. So Tim and Tasha, family-run business, more than welcomed in the city of Clear Lake. Definitely delicious. Then on Monday was also over at a ribbon cutting for the Lake County Office of Education, opening of their new preschool, which is on Emerson. And just another good addition to give people access to not just the preschool aspect of it, but the child care aspect of it, to let more people be able to be free to pursue their careers and work and do those things. So always good to see those things happening. I did get some good news from Woodland Community College. The rumor is that they are seeing a 20% increase in their student FTEs, full-time equivalents, and so that's really good news, because the more we see there, the more they're going to be focused on enhancing and bringing new programs to Woodland Community College over in Clear Lake. And thank you to Corey Ebenhock for doing the good work over there. Had our APC meeting and LTA meeting. Let's see what Caltrans finds out. I asked them to look into it. We'll see what happens. They're going to be looking at AI cameras for DUIs, because we need all the help we can get, because we've seen too many people perish on our roads, and unfortunately more than 50% of them that I can think of were dealing with DUIs. We can fix all the roads we want, but if we have people under the influence, those changes on the roads aren't going to do anything. And then LTA, we had a good discussion about the code of conduct, making sure that our buses are safe for our drivers as well as riders. Want to give thanks to Lisa Judd, Director Turner. Lisa Judd is Deputy CAO for Housing Administration. I believe I said the title correctly. I'm proud of myself. I want to thank Director Turner and Director Dillman Parsons, as well as Supervisor Crandall. I think we had 2 good town halls regarding the potential rent stabilization ordinance. Got some great feedback from both mobile home owners as well as mobile home park owners, and looking forward to our team getting back together and going over those notes and seeing what changes that will occur because of those meetings. So very thankful for that, and that pretty much sums up what I wanted to talk about. So thank you.
Supervisor Owen.
Yes. Tomorrow I'm going to be focusing on the Lake County 2050, both the general plan as well as the Middletown LAPAC. On Thursday, I have a Clean Water Council meeting. I believe there's the Calliope Water Board meeting I have a doctor's appointment, and then we have a special meeting with the Middletown Town Hall LAPAC. Friday, I'll be working on the lower lake aspects of it, of the 2050, and going over our next board agenda. And on Monday, let me get to Monday. I have my meeting with our ACO. Debbie Fiedler with Young Lives will be coming out to the ranch they're wanting to do a hoedown out there. And Lower Lake Action Group meeting will be at 3 o'clock on Monday.
Anything else? Okay. So last week had APC and LTA with Supervisor Sabatier. Thank you to Congressman Mike Thompson, who brought us the check for $850,000 to go into our South Main Street Soda Bay Road rehabilitation project that will be kicking off here pretty soon. So appreciate that. Same day went to Vet Connect, had an open house over at their facility on 11th Street to let the community know what supplies and services they have available for veterans. Had a BVAC meeting with Supervisor Peiska last week. Had a mental health advisory committee meeting last week. Went to the $100 event, which is the same as the 100 Women. We did that up at Buckingham, and hear from the nonprofits and select one, which the winner this week was Jack's Lavender Farm. So they got a good chunk of cash. And then last night had Scotts Valley Advisory Committee meeting. There will be a special Scotts Valley Advisory Committee meeting now happening on Monday, August 24th at 5 o'clock. And then I just wanted to shout out to CDD and their code unit, and because I'm still getting thank yous for the massive cleanup and rehab that was done on a particular site that we had in North Lakeport earlier this year. So just want them to be aware, because I keep getting many calls that people appreciate that work. And that does it for my report. And we're going to go to lunch a little bit early. I believe that's accomplished everything except for timed after and close. So we will come back at 1 o'clock. Thank you.